According to Jonathan Zaleski, a veteran of the rave scene, raves began in Europe in the early 1990s before quickly taking hold in the U.S.
Really a European concept for the most part, and sort of evolved over here like a lot of music has.
Since their inception, raves have been shrouded in secrecy to shield them from uninvited outsiders as well as police. According to raver Sandy Hoffman, just finding the location of a rave involves a series of secret steps.
Even when you buy a ticket to a major rave, you still have to call a phone number the day of the rave to find out where the rave is.
All right, we're calling that 480U Vibe.
You have an idea. A lot of times someone will say, oh, I hear this rave is in Los Angeles. So you'll know, okay, I'll be heading to Los Angeles tonight. But for the most part, they are very secret in that you don't know for sure where they're going to be unless you know a promoter.
Rave insiders believe the unprecedented popularity of this cultural movement is due largely to the sense of belonging it creates.
It's basically the concept of the hippie generation moved again into the 21st century. There's an amazing amount of acceptance at a rave event. Nobody is criticized for what they wear, for how they dance. If you're at a rave and you bump into somebody, they go, hey, sorry, and they give you a pat on the back. And if that happens in a bar in New York, a fight could break out.
Like the hippie generation of the 60s, the rave culture has developed its own characteristic look and sound, and their drugs of choice are easy to find if you know where to look. Unlike the hippies, ravers prefer a mysterious class of narcotics called designer drugs, the most popular being a drug known as ecstasy.
When you're at a club, a lot of times you'll see people off to the sidelines that kind of, you think that they want to dance, but they won't, because they just don't feel comfortable. But once you give them a pill of ecstasy, they're on the dance floor in 5 seconds. You know, they find the rhythm, and suddenly you find this whole new dance. It just seems to come from within your soul. And suddenly you feel like, wow, here's a place where I really fit in, where I can really enjoy myself, and where everybody loves me and I'm completely accepted.
According to Sandy, ecstasy produces an intense feeling of euphoria, which is enhanced by physical contact.
Everybody wants to hug you. Everybody wants to give you a back massage because it feels wonderful.
Coupled with a boost of energy, ecstasy allows ravegoers to lose their inhibitions and dance for several hours straight.
I'm not a proponent of drug use per se, but I'm a proponent of people opening their minds and their hearts, and I think ecstasy happens to be a drug that does that.
Ravers also have their own distinctive fashion accessories that are secretly tied to the visual intensity created by ecstasy.
When you go to a rave, you basically see a lot of people dressed in really flashy clothes and carrying around cute little backpacks and accessories and bright glowy things.
There's a lot of paraphernalia that you'll see being brought to raves, ranging from face masks, which are usually have Vicks smeared on the inside because of the increased euphoria and your sensory input. Something like a mint or a lollipop or Vicks just creates an intense high. Visually, glow sticks become very popular because the colors just seem prettier, and they leave trails, and it just becomes a more of an interesting sensory experience.
In addition, the amphetamine-like effect of ecstasy causes users to grind their teeth, which is why many ravers actually keep baby pacifiers in their mouths. Other popular designer drugs used at raves include ketamine, an animal tranquilizer that users call Special K.
A lot of times when people mix ecstasy with K, they have a great time. It just makes that ecstasy feeling feel 100 times better.
But using and mixing these drugs can have tragic results.
It can create similar effects as to ecstasy, but it's very easy to overdose, find yourself in what's called the K-hole, which is essentially ranges from an out-of-body experience to extreme tunnel vision and sort of an inability to really move or control yourself. And certainly if you go beyond that, the effects can be extremely dangerous.
Susan Dahlquist is all too familiar with the dangers of drug abuse at raves. She's an emergency room nurse in San Bernardino, California, a city widely known for these secret parties.
The behaviors we see when we come in the emergency department is anywhere from mild confusion and disorientation to outright psychotic, schizophrenic behavior.
Susan claims that rave promoters will actually contact the emergency room on the day of a rave to prepare them for the inevitable onslaught of ecstasy overdoses. Tragically, in many cases, the victims reach the hospital too late.
And I can tell you that the worst part of this job as a nurse and a doctor is to go tell a parent, we're sorry, we couldn't save your 18-year-old daughter. And I don't like any kind of an event that opens up the possibility of my having to do that again.
The spread of raves is so alarming in San Bernardino that their police department has formed the Event Response Team, a special unit that deals specifically with raves.
The events response team was formulated to provide public safety, to ensure that people attending the raves as well as people living and working around the rave parties were able to be in a safe atmosphere.
Headed up by Sergeant Mark Emoto, the task force keeps tabs on raves by closely monitoring the internet to uncover the secret locations of upcoming events.
We can go online, and there's actually websites dedicated to raves and rave parties and the locations and times.
But their biggest challenge is stopping the illegal flow of drugs inside.
Getting the ecstasy drugs inside of a rave is still one of the secrets we're still working on and trying to unravel. We search them at the gates, we search the promoters, we search the staff, and we still see ecstasy and other illegal drugs making their way inside.
Getting a drug into a rave is as simple as putting it in your pocket, or sticking it into your underwear, or taping it to some part of your body. It's not hard to get drugs into raves. It's very simple.
But recently, rave organizers have begun to police themselves. Jonathan Zaleski and others have joined forces as part of an organization called Dance Safe, which strives to educate ravegoers about the inherent dangers of drug abuse.
Despite the war on drugs, or just say no campaigns, or even parental guidance, these risky behavior will continue, and there needs to be somebody there to educate and to warn and to create a safe environment as much as possible for this risky behavior.
Dance Safe began in 1999 and can now be found all over the country, setting up tables outside of raves where volunteers answer questions and hand out literature.
We're the educated people. We've been in the scene. We're the ones who are talking to your children just before they take the drug.
The age of new ravers, sometimes as young as 12 years old, is a growing concern for many.
I'm turned off by how many young people are abusing the drugs.
The scariest thing I've seen at raves are little 14-year-olds with their eyes rolling back in their head, laid up against the wall, twitching, sweating, turning green.
Recently, Dance Safe has come under fire from those who take a dim view of the group's unorthodox approach to drug awareness.
On the more controversial end of the spectrum, we occasionally will test pills for purity. One of the risks in the drug community is that a lot of pills are doctored and adulterated with dangerous substances.
If undetected, these impurities could be fatal, especially for users of ecstasy.
Sometimes it's coupled with a cough suppressant, which also has the unwanted effect of blocking pores and restricting an individual's ability to cool itself down, while the ecstasy portion of the pill is causing them to overheat, and then they're dancing and not resting, so they're basically sealing themselves up and cooking themselves.
Despite the increase in drug-related deaths, raves continue to attract a growing number of youths around the world. And as the parties rage on, so does the debate over the impact of this mysterious cultural phenomenon.
It's not about the drug. It's not about getting wasted. It's about exploring who you are and having fun, creating life, and creating movement, and creating sound, and colors, and art. It's an artistic expression of yourself.
If it continues with this frequency, the increased frequency, the rampant drug use, the increased numbers we see at these venues, I'm afraid that we're looking at a potential for a large disaster.
Tonight, we've taken you inside some of the most dangerous and mysterious secret societies in America. From the prestigious and private Skull and Bones to the KKK and lesser-known National Alliance. But questions remain. Is Earth First a violent organization that puts human safety second? And are raves a harmless passing fad, or should these secret gatherings be cause for even greater concern? One thing is certain. It is part of human nature to want to join with others who share similar goals and ideas. But as long as there are groups with hidden agendas, there will always be best-kept secrets to reveal.